decided, you know what, this time I'm going to switch off my phone and journal. And I feel like that's what I needed, because it's more like I was confronting the other Tina that I don't know. SABC wants to interview you because I sent your video to that person. And I was like, okay. Now so then she sent me, that's how I got the money to can be able to stock. Then I came back home. I came back with the bags and I was like, no, I'm going to sell. But I had no idea how am I going to sell. The main challenge in a business is to have a capital. Capital is the main challenge, because you can have an idea, but then the idea cannot implement if you don't have the resources.
Hi everyone, welcome to Motivation Corner, your favorite podcast and the biggest podcast in the world. My name is Mpuluke, your favorite content creator and host. I mean, look at me, guys. It's a new year. Happy New Year, everyone. I hope we are ready and we are prepared for what Motivation Corner has for all of us. If you're new, please subscribe. If you are returning, please make sure you guys are commenting and liking and sharing with your friends. And also, before I forget, I think it's very important that I acknowledge my top supporters. I just want to say a shout out to Vanessa Pizzi. I see your comments, girl. You're always in the comment section, and that tells me that you watch each and every episode. I like to say hi to Simpiwe Masanabo. I like to say hi to Ketiwe. Guys, I really appreciate your support, and continue to support and continue to share this beautiful podcast with your friends and your family. And guys, in the year of 2025, I thought, let me bring a friend and a sister, someone who inspires me, someone I look up to, like just how she does things. She always inspires me. Even when I'm sitting down, I'm like, oh, it's so hard. But when I look at her statuses, I'm like, no, you gotta push. So guys, this year I have with me Tina. She was here last year and she didn't hesitate to come back, and we have a conversation. Welcome, and thank you, Tina.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a great pleasure and honor to start a year in these podcasts. I like it when you always say it's a podcast
for motivation.
Yeah, the motivation for the whole year, like the whole what? The whole world. What?
Oh, and the biggest podcast in the whole wild world. Oh, yeah. Okay.
I like it when you always say that, because I feel like that's what we need to say about our lives. We need to always be positive. For me, it's a positive affirmation, and I really like it. So thank you so much for inviting me. It's a great honor to be here. 2025, I'm here, and you decided to start with me. What a pleasure. Thank you, girl.
This is the first episode that I'm shooting, like, in the whole 2025, and it's with Tina. And I feel blessed because I was watching one of her status. It was like she was, I don't know whether you were at the hotel where you switched your phone and you just decided to be with your journal, your iPad, and your thoughts. How do you come up with such? How do you decide that?
That's an interesting one, because now you're getting personal, hey? So, but then I think it's always beautiful to always give yourself time. I just actually realized that it's been a busy year, and I never get to sit and say, God, thank you so much for what you've done for me. For ticking my boxes, because most of the time we always feel like, okay, I'm ticking the boxes, and you actually realize that you forget some of the things. So I think that time when it happened, I felt like, no, I haven't had time to sit and reflect on what has happened. And I felt like that's what I needed. I mean, that 5 hours took me to another level, because I just decided, you know what, this time I'm going to switch off my phone and journal. And I feel like that's what I needed, because it's more like I was confronting the other Tina that I don't know, because I was like, why do you behave like this? Why did you behave like that? And after that, I actually got the answers. So it was such a beautiful thing to do, because I had enough time to listen to people that motivate me through the word of God. So I really wanted that, and it took me to another level. And I already knew that 2025 is going to be a great year.
Oh, wow. Guys, do you see why we keep on inviting her? Nani Bonela. She's a powerhouse. Like, you would want to be her friend. If it's like you'll just click into this video and you asking yourself, why must I stay for the period that is going to play? Please stay and stick around. You'll see why you have to stay around. Like, I think that whole small conversation we have had so far, it's proof enough that we're going to have a very beautiful conversation with Tina. Yeah, I can tell 2024 was a good year for you, because I remember the other day you sent me a text that someone saw our video and then it went to the right people, and now you were on SABC. So can we shout out to that, guys? I've always wanted to say this, but I was like, I can't say it alone. Sometimes when you say something without the owner of something, then can you please tell us, like, how did it happen? Just a little bit.
You know, that's why I always say I really appreciate you, because when you invited me, I didn't see it coming. And I remember I always say to on my status that there is a table waiting for me at the seat that I haven't sat. And, you know, I think you invited me sometime during the year, and then I shared the video, and then I got a call from my sister, and she's like, SABC wants to interview you because I sent your video to that person. And I was like, okay. So I think it went for about 4 to 5 months, and I forgot about it. And I remember in that period when they called me, I was just saying, there is a seat waiting for me at the tables that I haven't sat. And I didn't know that thing is going to manifest. And it just happened in 2 hours. The following day, I was supposed to be in SABC. So I'll forever be grateful for this podcast, because that's where we are found, and that's where we also found ourselves. Mm-hmm. That's where we sell ourselves. Even though I was not really selling myself, but I'm grateful that it went to the right hands. Mm-hmm. So thank you so much for believing in me.
Guys, this makes me emotional, because more than the goals that I had, which is to monetize the podcast, to get sponsors and all that, but seeing that happened to Tina, like, it fulfills me. I feel like my year is complete. And thank you for coming and sharing about yourself, which made you to be known. Because I always tell you that, Tina, you are a powerhouse. Like, sometimes I feel like sometimes I feel like you like downplaying it, but you are a powerhouse. You are unique, man. You are very special. Yeah. And I'd like to have you around me. Yeah. So, guys, last time we talked about a lot of things, because we were getting to know Tina. So we heard that she's a sportswoman, like a triathlete, guys. And she did pageants. She's a beauty queen as well. Yeah, so she's a mom. She's a wife. She's a friend. She's also a businesswoman. It was like, no, man, Tina must come share for the fellow entrepreneurs on how she did it. It's still an inspiration that you are all those things in the whole 24 hours that we have every day. You manage to be all those things. You really are. That's why you are different. You are very special. Okay. What is the name of your company?
All right, I do have 2 companies. Mm-hmm. So the first one is Tineto Consultancy Services. That's my first business ever. And I have the other one called Curious Child. And I also have an NPO called Exceptional Foundation. So yeah, that's my business. But my main business that generates more income is Tineto Consultancy Services, which deals with accounting, which deals with taxation, business administration, and so forth. So yeah, that's my business.
Guys, she's into money as well, Rabon. So once my podcast is starting to make money, or once it's bringing sponsors, she's going to be filing for me. Yeah, well, it's a done deal.
Definitely.
Because you don't want like a fellow black woman now in the news with tax with SARS.
Yeah.
So guys, I'm going to ask her like questions in segments. So now I'm going to start with sorry guys, I wrote my questions on my phone. So the first questions, I'm going to ask you 3 questions based on the journey because now I think we're going to talk about Tineto, even though here and there we'll still throw in the other businesses. But I think this one is the one that is longer and that is more successful.
Yes.
So about the journey of your business, what inspired you to start Tineto Financial Services?
I think I didn't really have an inspiration. It was just a matter of being in a situation and then where you had to pull up your socks and actually realize, Uri, this is what I can do. So my journey started when I resigned. And, I decided, what, I'm going to stay at home without any plan. But I just don't want to dive into my personal life per se, but then I want to concentrate more on the business. But I think my personal life was also affected at that time. So I resigned, and at that time my husband was still in school, and he was doing something about engineering, and already we had 3 kids, and you know how difficult it is having 3 kids and expenses. And, I'm one of the women that still believe that we need to help each other. And I could see that, this is not going to be good. It's good that I find another job. But for me, in my heart, I knew that I don't want to find any job. I just need to find something that I can do. And mind you, I've never been in a business. And because I grew up as a lady or as a girl who's very shy, so I always think, I'm not going to sell now, never in my own life, in my whole life where I can sell. So I decided I remember before I actually gave birth to Tineto Consultancy Services, it's when I decided, what, for me to help my husband because he's away, and obviously in the mines he's not getting the allowances that he used to get because he's in school. How about I start selling? So it was one of the journey that I always share, just to motivate someone out there. I started, I'm very spiritual. I believe in God so much. So I remember I said, what, I'm going to pray and ask God to show me what I can do. And guess what? God just humbled me. God just decided, I'm going to sell. And I've never sold.
And it was never something
shy.
you thought of.
I've got low self-esteem. I don't really have confidence. And I was like, God, how am I going to do it? I remember he reminded me of the scripture that he's going to melt, the mountains melt like wax. So it's found somewhere in the book of Psalms. So, and I was like, God, you are saying, so when I go deeper into that scripture, I actually realized that he's saying, I'm going to melt your pride. For you to can be able to flow. So then I was like, okay, what am I supposed to do, God? And he's like, no, you're going to sell. I'm like, I'm going to sell what? Because I've never sold anything. And, I just decided, I remember I had about 600 in the bank account. And then I went and withdrew that money, and I was like, today I'm going to Joburg. I don't know where am I going to go.
Wow.
I'm going to Joburg, So then I was like, where I used to work, we used to go and stock some things in
bulk.
In bulk. Maybe I must just try there. And mind you, I've never been going there because I was working as a financial officer. So I won't go to Joburg. But I just thought, no. The receipts used to say, I'm going to where, you man. So I'm like, no, I'm going to drive there. I remember that time I went and dropped my kids and I was like, I'm driving to Joburg. Guys, it was the longest trip because I was praying. And mind you, I have 600. I must put 300 petrol in my car. And then go there. That other 300, I must see what am I going to do. So I remember when I get to Joburg, I said, Holy Spirit, you're going to show me. When you are in the Spirit, God always guides you. It's just that in most cases, we give up. We give up quicker and we give up easily. We always say, no, I'm not going to do it. I get to Joburg and then guess what? God just showed me I must go and buy Amagosha. And I was like, right. Then I get there. You know what? Like the moment you get there, your eyes are open. That's when you realize there's so much I can do. Then I went and buy then we used to call it, I think I call it the pulling socks.
Yeah, the stockings, the thick
stockings,
ones.
the thick ones, Maro proper, where you can actually get for school kids and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I stocked that one. As I was walking, I find another shop that sells the bags. You know, there's this other label which is bigger. I just forgot the label. And then they sell nice scarves where women can just wear the scarf. And, I decided to buy some. And I was so excited that day. But I've got 300 and my things needs a lot of money. I remember as I was there, one of my cousins called me. She's like, hey, Tina, Iri, where are you? I'm like, no, I'm in Joburg. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, no, I'm stocking. But I don't have money. She's like, oh, but we've got that money that you've been saving. It was like that. I was like, oh, okay. Then she sent me that money. And she's like, no, I'm going to send you money now. Then she sent me. That's how I got the money to can be able to stock. Then I came back home. I came back with the bags and I was like, no, I'm going to sell. But I had no idea how am I going to sell. So then the following day, I stayed and I prayed about it. And you can imagine somebody who has never done it. To start, it's a problem. Starting, everything you can get there, but starting is a problem. It's always difficult. So then I got there and I skipped one day. And then I just decided to go to my friend's office. And then I opened the boot. And that's how I started my business. I started selling. And then somebody offered to buy me a bale, you know, those bales where they used to sell the jackets from UK, all over the world. And then I started stocking them. That's how I got into the business. And I started loving it. I did it for the whole year. And then the following year in December, I remember it was in December that year, I was making money. I was able to pay for my staff, my kids, helping my husband there and there, you know. I'm going to pay for the crash.
So there's money in
there is
selling.
money. There is money in selling. You just have to be consistent and not giving up. So, you know, the way it was coming, I just felt like, this is where I was supposed to be. This thing is easy because now the pride is out, confidence. Now you've got confidence, you can do it. So that's how I started. I'll travel from here to Venda and I'll leave my other child in school and then I'll go with the other two. And it has been a journey. And yeah, I did it for the whole year.
The selling.
Yeah, and the following year, God just said, no, just call that one of the affiliation for taxation and call them. And then I decided to call them. They said, no, we're going to give you the practice number. And then that's how I started Tineto the following year. And then I was like, then what, God? Because now I don't have clients. And then I just walk in the bank. One of my clients that I met when I was still in SARS, he just saw me. He's like, what are you doing here? I'm like, no, I came to the bank. He's like, no, I need someone who can actually run my company. That's how I started my business.
Wow. It's where, I don't know, what do they call it? Chance, meeting, preparation, and your spirit was in the right place. Because I'm at the point where I'm like, with me, I'm struggling to have like people I can say, these are my loyal podcast supporters. Understand? But I always believe that my prayer daily is that God, I'm ready and I'm open that you will conspire in my favor for me to achieve my goals, and you're going to align me with the right people. That is my firm believer that I'm going to talk to someone or someone might see it and then that's how it's going to go. So I feel like I'm in the right direction hearing from you because you prayed and just by moving around, then you find yourself at the right place and things are booming.
Yes, it takes faith to do that.
Yeah. So as you said, you don't have inspiration. I think everything that you said is your inspiration. You resigning at work, not because you wanted to. I believe you didn't really want to resign, but situation forced you. And your husband not doing well financially at that time because he was a student. It was an inspiration, as it is. So the second question is, can you share can you please share a highlighted moment in your entrepreneurship journey? Like the most biggest thing in this journey, or while starting, what can you say this is the highlight of my entrepreneurship journey?
I think in our field, I always say you can't really do it alone. You need people who will take you through that. I think for me, my highlight is to get the best employees ever.
Wow.
Because, I mean, my people, my staff members, they made me who I am. And another highlight is to get a husband who understands that this is your dream, this is where you want to be, because it's tough to do that when you are starting. And remember, in this business world, you don't really start and boom.
Yeah.
It takes a lot. It might take you years. It might take you months. It might take you days. But from my experience, I actually learned that business takes time to grow. So for me, my highlight is my employees and my family, as my husband and my kids.
Wow. Wow. The last question on this journey thing. What was the biggest challenges you faced when starting out? Because most people, I think they leave when the challenges now start coming. They like give up. So what was the challenges and how did you overcome them?
I think the main challenge in a business is to have a capital. Capital is the main challenge because you can have an idea, but then the idea cannot implement if you don't have the resources. But then I always say it's just that it will catch you there. For me, that's the biggest one challenge that you can have. Capital.
Let's say you have capital, because in my case, I have capital. I'm financing my podcast. I'm failing to get the right people. That's my biggest challenge.
My advice would be the right people are coming. I always say we don't have to be having 20,000 clients, which is only few. But you see how much you can actually grow with the ones that you have. Because it takes a lot of integrity, and then you learn to be doing your work better. Because sometimes when there are many, you'll be able to manage them.
Yeah.
And God has to try to trust you with little before He can give you more. So if you are not managing well with a small number, and then already you want to be out there, then it doesn't really work. For me, I believe that there's a very small number that you have. They are taking you somewhere. The fact that you are consistent. We always say that in sports. I start running out now. First day I'll be burning. My chest will be burning. And then if you're consistent, you end up catching up. That's how it works. Yes.
Wow, thank you, Tina. This one was for me.
I hope you learned that because I didn't really say much, but I feel like what I said.
You can say more. Yeah. I think there is someone who's starting something and
no. For me, I feel like maybe I didn't really, because remember people will believe in different things, and for me it's be consistent, man. Be consistent with what you do. Podcast, it can be watched by 100 people, but the fact that you're consistent, I always check your podcast, and there's so much that I learned. Remember, there's a business lady who came, and I was like, I am crazy about her because she's showing the other side that I never thought of, So that's what the very same people, it might not be 100, it might not be 200, but 20 people, even one person, that's more than enough because you are reaching people who needed it. Who needed to hear that. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Tina. We come into the lessons learned. That's the clearing a heading for our questions. What is the most important lesson you have learned since starting your business? And the second, maybe I should ask you all three of them. Maybe sometimes you can answer them all at once. How do you handle failure or setbacks? If you have examples you can share. Number 3, what advice would you give someone just starting their own business?
All right. The first question was, again, sorry.
What is the most important lesson you've learned since starting your business?
I think the most important question, what I've learned more is, especially if you've got employees, save money. And I always say to my clients that you cannot eat all the money. The money that comes to a business is not your money. It's money that has to go to you. Still, in that money that you get, you still need to pay rent. You still need to pay employees. You still need to pay the systems that you use. So I always say, let's save up. Pay yourself. Because if you don't pay yourself, you're not going to see where your money is going. Because now, if you don't pay yourself, you're not going to see where your money is going, because now you're going to be eating all the money, thinking you've got money. But when you check, you actually realize this is not all my money up until my people are paid, up until the rent is paid, up until all the systems. So I always feel like a business is a separate entity from me. My business, Tineto is Tineto. And
then
there's Tina.
Oh.
And there's actually Curious Child, which is a sport woman. So we are like being Tina like this. I cannot always say I'm Tineto. I am Tineto, but Tineto is a separate entity, which I need to treat it different. So that's the most lesson that I always say to business people, that please save up the money. It's not all your money.
Even if you make the biggest profit.
Even if you make the biggest profit, pay yourself.
Continue to.
But then take all the expenses that you have and also save for the days when you don't have. Even the Bible says so. Save up for the days when you don't have, because it does happen. One of the challenges is when it's December. You promise your employees that, you know what, we're going to get a bonus. And Utina, they checked money and me in China. and you actually realize it's December.
It's here.
There's no money. And you know what? In this business world, people, when they go to December, they go crazy. Unless if your business like works around the December, the festives, the fun. Maybe that's where you can say you can actually make money. But you make money to save up for another December, remember?
Oh, yeah.
How are you going to sustain yourself the whole year because you wait for December? So that's what happens, because now you're going to be in China and all the money, and your employees want the bonus that you promised. And you don't have.
So let's say you didn't have it. It's part of failure. How do you handle that failure or setback?
You know, there's always a downgrade, because most of the time you need to sit and check what is really taking out your money. What is the failure coming from?
So as a business, you need to sit down and check what
is eating my money. Yeah.
Like we do in our personal lives, you have to sit down and reflect, even with the business.
Even in the business, you need to reflect, where is my money going? Am I swiping too much going to Checkers, whereas I'm swiping in Checkers not buying anything? I mean, in the accounting world, what will I be doing in Checkers every day? Swiping what? Because we work with computer, we work with cloud. So as long as you've got your PC there, you do all the work. So what are you doing in Checkers? Where are you spending most of your money? So you sit and reflect, know your failures and learn from them. Pick them out, because most of the time we are not self-aware. I think we said it when we started. Self-awareness is very important. So also do that introspection in your business. Where am I failing? I'm failing because of that and that. And you always get it. In most cases, you don't need to be told. You know very well. You know very well where are your failures.
I'm failing.
Yes.
Yeah. So we just have to take that stand and say it's stopping now, because sometimes and sometimes people don't stop.
Because they're not giving themselves time.
Yeah, and you mentioned downgrading. If you use the money to live a lavish lifestyle, then it's time to go back to your cocoon.
Hey, maybe I'm not affording my car. There is smaller cars that I can actually cut off a few thousands that can help me pick up. And then one day I'm going to pick up again and get my dream car.
Are you able to really downgrade? Have you ever been in a situation where you had to downgrade?
Yeah, not at the moment. I haven't been.
But that moment or like, I just want to understand what it takes, because most people, they fail because you'll see a person still going to get abomashonisa and all that, and you can see this person is really struggling. So I just want to help them. What will be happening at that moment? Why is it so hard for you to downgrade?
I think it takes a lot of pride where you can actually go down, because remember, most of the cases we are doing it for people, we're not doing it for ourselves.
Yeah.
We are doing for people, looking, what is she going to say when I'm coming with a test here? But then it's none of a business. I'm doing for me, and I'm doing what's going to work for me. So it takes a lot of pride to actually melt it. I think that's what God helped me when I started a business, because He gave me the scripture that I needed. And when I look at it, I actually realize sometimes the mountains melt like wax and become like that. So not everyone, like we can't always be on top for us to learn a lesson. And we also need those kind of challenges to actually run our business better, because we learn from our mistakes.
Yeah, what advice would you give someone just starting their own business? I know we had already talked about consistency, but what else can we give someone who is on the journey of starting their business?
For me, I always say you don't have to have a capital. Use what you have. And of course, I always say it's consistency, because at some point I used to call myself a queen of consistency, because I'll just do thing over and over again. So for me, for a startup, you don't need a capital. You just need to be consistent and use what you have. If you can bake with 5 rand, use that 5 rand and see it growing. So that's just my advice. That's how we start.
Yeah. Thank you. We come into the operation of the business. How do you differentiate your business from the competitors? Because I know, like accounting firms, there are a lot. It's just not yours. How is setting yours apart? How do you get your clients? Why would they prefer you?
For me, in my office there is I think a picture where I wrote to serve with integrity. So for me, integrity is the most important thing that I can do for myself. And I've seen it working. Mm-hmm. We are raising the ordinary to extraordinary. So for me, it's not about having a lot of people, and it's not about who's doing what out there. I think if you're good in what you're doing, God will send the right people that needs to be in your company, that you need to serve them. So for me, I think do your best. Do integrity. Keep on learning. But what you do with the best that you can do. Do it like there's no any other people coming. Even if it's one client, do your best. Like, take out your all, not even caring ubani. So those things will take you places, because when you have those kind of principles, you go very far.
Yeah.
And you forget about the others. Yes, we do see them, but what are you going to do? But you must always believe that the right people that are there, I must know how to serve them.
Yeah, okay. When you're talking about integrity, lately I've had the pleasure or the privilege of being around business people. Mm-hmm. And I've always heard them saying, business, so meaning some people bribe their way to getting other things. So when you talk about integrity, you mean you don't do that?
In terms of my business, you have to have integrity. Because I'm not really into tendering, I feel like probably it's different. But
there's not much pressure for bribery.
There is integrity needed, because you can actually get a business where you need to sort out the tax and you end up messing up for them. So if you don't know what you're doing, like for instance, a client comes to you and say, you know what, I want to reduce this thing, or I just don't want to pay tax. And this person is probably making over 1 million or 2 million, whatever. And then because of the money, you're just going to go according to the money. And they will tell you to reduce and everything. And sometimes you forget that your name is at stake. Your practice number is at stake. Are you ready to lose your practice number that is bringing the food in your table for one business? So that's how I always say is integrity. Do your best. Do your work. Do what you know best.
Yeah, because I remember
Research, find out how am I going to help this client? And if you can't, let it pass. Give it to someone who's better, who can do it better. That's how we get to grow.
Yeah, because it reminds me of there will be time when, especially with our income taxes, people will be like, yo, ngihambise komunye ubhuti. Manje I now get money from SARS. But I know sometimes later it comes back and bite them. So that's what you mean. If you are like, Mutamudimo, this is what you earn and they're taxing you, right? There's no returns that you have to receive. Then you become that person.
I know that's the most challenging, and I'm glad already some of my clients are going to watch this, and I am even free to say that I don't do that. I don't want to be doing things that I don't know. Because the thing is, your practice number, Nama, I protect my integrity, girl.
You protect your product.
I don't want to lose it because of that. Because I understand how it works. Remember, I had a privilege of being there.
Oh yeah, you worked at SARS before.
Working in, I understand how the system works. And then there's people who just bring you impossible. And they're just impossible. And you cannot do it. But because you're running after money, then you're going to do it. No, I said, no, I can refer you to somebody else who can help you. I won't do it. Sorry.
So Tina, you have those guys to be like, if this person is like, once you saw this is how much you're getting, you are able to say no.
Yeah, because I've learned to say it's not about money, it's also about that. Integrity will take you places.
So you are in it for a long run. Because if you don't have integrity, it's just for some time being and then
yes, I'm not disputing for those who are probably bribing. So I can't really say much about that because I don't know how it works for them, But for me, it's like, upgrade yourself. Go and learn more what needs to be done. Right now we get excited when we get a new tax case. It's like it's a party. It's like, hey, which one, which tax? You see us running and we sit and dissect it, which gives us that kind of environment where we're learning something. Then we start seeing the courses. Yeah, I think you must go and do it like so that we upgrade ourselves. So that's what you do because it's for the professionals, obviously. So you need to be affiliated to the right
know the right words, know what is happening.
Because most cases, those people that you're saying they're going to reduce, you find they don't even have a practice number, so they've got nothing to lose. Yeah. And now I've got 3 kids, girl. So now.
And your company that you've been, how many years does it have now?
We started in 2017.
Yeah. It's over 6 years now.
Yeah, 2017. Yeah, it's over 6 years.
Wow. And they always say a company, if it passes the 2-year, then at least it's going to succeed. So how was your first 2 years?
It was not easy at all. I think the first year is like you eat from, what do they call, from mouth to?
Yeah,
because
pot to mouth. I don't know the
because
right way.
You're trying to cover up whatever that you have. And then, it takes time to grow. And then you go and learn, okay, this is how am I going to market myself. And in the field where we are, you need to be in your game. You need to understand the story.
Wow.
You need to understand the story because you can still advertise Mara and then you find a client that you don't really know what to do. What are you going to do if you're not equipped with
such it's
work?
Not for lazy people.
It's not for lazy people.
So because there's learning, it's like doctors. Every time
you need to be learning.
And not be lazy to read.
And not be lazy. It's so interesting because I feel like they put us in the game. They put us in the game. There is a time where they actually block everything. And they block the systems. And they said, you've got 5 modules that you haven't done. Wow. And then, Ushuti, you're gonna not sleep, girl.
Sure.
To cover all the 5 modules and then read them and then answer the questions. It's more like tests up until they open your stuff. They actually close it in a way they even close your practice number in SARS.
Wow.
So you need to be on your game. And the affiliation that we use, they always give us those kind of, we know there's new tax law changing, and then you go through that and read it. So you need to be learned.
How do you decide when to expand or diversify your services?
Say that again. I want to
Maybe
elaborate it so that I can hear.
It's like, how do you decide when to expand or diversify your services? Let's say maybe you started only by sorting out tax, what for people. Then maybe now you had to decide and be like, okay, there's a gap in bookkeeping, there's a gap in whatever. I'm just not well.
I think, yeah, you said it well. I think the demand of the work that you have, it makes you expand, because you actually realize, there's a demand in this, meaning I need to expand. Then you need to employ someone to be able to do that, which is an expansion. Because this person is coming, then this person needs to be paid. And this person is a professional in this, and you need them for your business because there is a demand. Your client is coming looking for this, and they don't want to be there and there. So it's better to have it in-house, everything.
And these are professional people who went to tertiary, and you can't just give them any...
They come with their degree, and you look at them, I only have diploma. And what am I going to do? But you put your head up.
But how doesn't that affect you maybe in terms of what if the next thing they know more than I do?
I think there's a book that is called A Student What? C Students Employ
A Student. C Students Employ A Student.
I was challenged by one of my friends, and I was like, no, I was going back to that kind of cocoon where I'm like, low self-esteem. The girl that I hired, I taught her the work, and she's so quick, she knows the stuff, and she's like, no, C students hire A students. And I learned from that, you don't have to be the top. If you're really doing your business well, you can still hire the A students, and you are an F student. Just need to know how to manage your business.
Okay, so that thing, Tina, the jealousy or the fear. I know they say C students employ A student, but how do you deal with that? What is inside a fear?
I did say it. Like I said, what comes to your mind first is low self-esteem, that this person is more educated than me and I'm nothing. But you have to deal with yourself, because you need to search yourself and actually find out where is it coming from. Why do you feel that way? And then once you dealt with it, speak to someone. I mean, there's professionals who can actually put you to a place, because in most cases we don't see who we are until somebody said, you're such a powerful house. You're just a powerhouse. And you're like, oh.
The fact that you started this business and they can't.
Yeah, exactly.
It also means a lot.
So I think it plays a big role in low self-esteem and our fears, but you need to deal with them.
Yeah.
You need to overcome them.
Yeah, so I know we don't have time because we don't want to bore people. Then it means you always have to come back. Okay, let's talk about, I think we did touch a bit on the human resource, which is people. Mm-hmm. But you did mention that the first thing that you need to decide on is to get good employees. How do you get those good employees? Because a lot of people, they've been screwed by their own employees. I think I had an interview with Mom Lindy, where then she said the person even left with some of the clients. So how do you get to choose the right one that you can trust?
In my case, because my business is built by God, I always say that. And, I always pray about it before I can hire anyone. I said, God, I don't want to be going around hiring Jim and Jack that I don't even know. I know that you're going to bring the right person. And in most cases, my employees, they knock at the door. And I actually realize, this is the girl I need.
Oh, you don't really advertise sometimes.
I did advertise. Now we just hired someone. Mm-hmm. But so far that I have, They are the best. They're doing their work. I did hire, and there's people who actually moved to another places, and the right people will come. The right people, the people that you need for you, they will come. They are there, out there.
Are you open for internships, even if it's not paid?
Yeah, it depends on the kind of work that we have. Yeah, because the one that we have one who's doing internship. She started last year, so we gave her 1 year. So yeah, we are open to that.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you like a lot of questions in terms of marketing and growth. How do you balance your work life and your future outlook? Maybe we can do the future outlook. No. The personal insights. Can you share a book or a podcast or resources that has significantly influenced your business approach?
My business approach.
Yeah, something that helped. Yeah.
I think
Books or
I listen
podcasts.
to a lot of Fuzi Tembewayo. I really enjoy his podcast.
It's more business.
Yeah, I think for me, in terms of the business, on my side, I work better with people who motivate. He might not be talking about my business, but sometimes when I really need that, I think there was a time where I actually pay for mentorship in one of the companies that are big. And I think I learned a lot from that because they had to teach me about marketing. They had to teach me about administration, how to handle your business. Because remember, when you are doing accounting, it doesn't mean that you can manage money better. But then you still need that kind of mentorship where somebody is showing you how things are done.
What qualities do you believe are essential for a successful entrepreneur?
What qualities?
For a successful entrepreneur before we close?
I think that would differ from person to person.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking you for you.
For me, I think I'm just going to go back. The qualities that I need is integrity. For me, it's integrity. Yes.
Okay. Closing thoughts. What do you wish you had known before starting a business? Number 2, is there anything else you'd like to share with aspiring entrepreneurs?
I wish I knew how to save money from the beginning.
Okay.
I wish I knew how to save money in the beginning. I feel like I could have been far. Yeah, but I didn't really know any better.
Yeah, but you know better.
I'm now better, and I think we must have more of that on how to manage our money, because more money in the business determines the expansion of the company. Because you can't expand if you don't have money.
Yeah, can be the biggest.
Yeah, for me, it's saving. Let's save money. Let's treat business as a business and personal on a personal base. And I always listen to a lot of, these interviews where they talk about, and I hear them, they talk about business, and I always comment, Rio, please tell them, and I think that's what I do in some of my clients, and I've seen them growing because they decided to separate business and personal.
Okay. Any final closing? Any last words?
There's so much that I can say. I think I'll just go back to say, it starts from your mind. I know right now I'm in an era where I'm like actually writing every day about what I want to see. And I always say, see it, want it, and work for it. And sometimes I'll say, manifest it. So what you see, want it and want it. When you want it, you're going to go and look for it and work for it. And eventually it's gonna happen.
It has no choice.
Yes, it starts in your mind. Build it in your mind. Give yourself time. Work on that. I want to be a good hairdresser. Say it over and over. and the heavens are listening. They will send you what you need. They will send you destiny helpers, people who are going to help you. So yeah, that's what I'm going to say. See it, want it, work for it, and go for it.
Yeah, my other friend always says, if you have a desire for something, remember all the desires that we have, they're from God. So there's no way God can give you a desire and not make sure it's fulfilled. So it's another way of saying what you said. So guys, let's continue to do our writing. Let's manifest things. Let's talk about it. Let's write them down every time. Even when you feel discouraged, I always tell my girls that even when you are sitting by yourself, you're having a bad day, just write. Even if you don't believe it, just write it down. I'm the best podcaster in the whole world. It will happen.
That.
Yeah.
I love that, how you started. I'm like, ugh, can I just have that kind of code where I just say it? I'm the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, guys. If you learned something, my business people, my entrepreneurs, I brought you someone who is very experienced in the business world. Please comment down below, what did you learn? And if you're a business person, also please share in some of the questions that I've asked what you have learned. And thank you so much for watching. From me and Bethany Media, we say bye. And also, guys, Bethany Media, we have another podcast, but we'll talk about it next time. Bye.
Thank you.